Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
Looking for a great non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
Try Athletic Brewing Co.
One that actually
tastes great? It's athletic.
Or that has a
variety of styles? It's athletic.
Or
that's award-winning and seemingly everywhere? It's athletic. Just ask for it.
Okay. Can I get an athletic?
Sure can. The rest of you, go to askforathletic.com and find the #1 non-alcoholic beer brand in the U.S. at a retailer today. Near Beer.
Thanks for listening to the Red Treehouse, where I tell scary stories to keep you up at night. You can listen to the Red Treehouse on your favorite streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a 5-star review. You can follow the Red Treehouse on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, Threads, and Facebook at Red Treehouse Pod. And now you can find the Red Treehouse on Patreon. Join the Red Treehouse community for as little as $3 per month and receive exclusive member benefits, including personal shoutouts, early access to episodes, bonus episodes, and more. Simply go to patreon.com/Red Treehouse. As always, if you have a scary story or topic you'd like me to feature on an upcoming episode, email redtreehousepod@gmail.com. Important note, sources for this episode can be found in the show notes. The Red Treehouse is dedicated to my dad. I love you, Pop. Did you know? In 1994, 6 priests, including Father Gabriel Amorth and Father Jeremy Davies, founded an organization known as AIE, or the International Association of Exorcists. The AIE, quote, provides training and support to exorcists and also helps to raise awareness of the issue of demonic possession, end quote. The organization is sanctioned by the Roman Catholic Church and has around 250 members from 30 countries. And every member is a priest who has been authorized to perform exorcisms. Unfortunately, there is no definitive information on the number of exorcisms performed each year. But it seems demonic possession is still an ongoing phenomenon. To date, we've explored 6 cases of possession and exorcism from around the world. Each story has been unique and frightening, and today's story is no different. But let me ask a question. What would it take for you to make a pact with the devil? What would you hope to receive in exchange for pledging undying devotion to Satan? In the early 1900s, Clara Germana Cele, a teenage girl living in South Africa, experienced something horrifying. Possession, not by a demon, but by Satan himself. And it is alleged that she became possessed after making a deal with the devil. The details of the case are scary and will undoubtedly keep you up at night. In this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're going to explore the disturbing and terrifying possession and exorcism of Clara Germana Cele. Was she truly possessed by Satan? Or was she suffering from an undiagnosed and untreated mental health condition. I'll share the story. You decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Welcome to the Red Treehouse. Clara Germana Cele was born in 1890 in South Africa. Unfortunately, not much is known about Clara's childhood, though it is known that she was orphaned by her parents when she was just an infant, and began attending St. Michael's Mission, a local Catholic school, as early as 4 years old. Clara, who was raised by nuns in the Roman Catholic Church, was baptized as an infant, and by all accounts was, quote, an ordinary girl who gave no reason for suspicion of possession, end quote. Fast forward to 1906, when Clara was 16 years old, and those around her noticed increasingly strange and erratic behavior. The behaviors intensified, and on August 20th, 1906, Clara's behaviors came to a disturbing breaking point. She, quote, startled students and nuns at the school, who saw her tear her clothes, growl like an animal, and have conversations with unseen entities, end quote. Clara demanded to speak with Father Erasmus Horner, stating, quote, "Sister, please call Father Erasmus. I must confess and tell everything. But quick, or Satan will kill me. He has me in his power. Nothing is blessed with me. I have thrown away all of the medals you gave me." End quote. When speaking with Father Horner, Clara made a startling confession. She'd made a pact with the devil, who, quote, promised Clara power and happiness, end quote, but went back on his word and possessed her instead. Something interesting. After Clara's confession to Father Horner, it was reported that she got into an argument with the devil or demon inside of her. One article stated, quote, later she stated, "You have betrayed me. You have promised me days of glory, but now you treat me cruelly," end quote. Clara's behavior grew increasingly scary, as she demonstrated powers far beyond her capabilities, including speaking in languages she had no knowledge of, clairvoyance, and superhuman strength. One nun reported Clara, quote, understood Polish, German, French, Norwegian, and all other languages, end quote. Clairvoyance is, quote, the supposed faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact, end quote. In Clara's case, she, quote, revealed the most intimate secrets and transgressions of people with whom she had no contact, end quote. It was reported Clara had uncanny strength and often became violent with the nuns who were tending to her. By themselves, these are scary enough. And truly, fear had settled in around St. Michael's Mission. One article stated, quote, the mission's peaceful and faith-filled environment was now overshadowed by a dark cloud of fear and the unexplainable, end quote. But what seemed to scare everyone the most was the change in Clara's voice. One article stated, quote, "No animal had ever made such sounds, neither the lions of East Africa nor the angry bulls. At times, it sounded like a veritable herd of wild beasts, orchestrated by Satan, had formed a hellish choir." End quote. As Clara sank deeper into the depths of demonic possession, her outbursts continued. She was averse to religious iconography and could not be in the presence of blessed objects. It was reported, quote, "Her skin would burn when sprinkled with holy water, and she would lash out when Bibles, crosses, and other sacred objects entered the room with her, even when they were concealed from her sight." End quote. Then, something truly terrifying happened. Eyewitnesses reported Clara levitated as much as 5 feet in the air, quote, "sometimes vertically and sometimes horizontally." End quote. Despite the pleas from those around her, Clara only responded when doused with holy water, which caused her to temporarily come out of the possession state. Despite this, Clara sank further and further into the depths of demonic possession. And it was reported, quote, "Clara had the ability to turn into a snake-like creature. Her body as flexible as a serpent as she slithered across the floors of the school. She even bit a nun on the arm and left teeth marks that resembled those of a snake's fangs." End quote. Something interesting. Despite her inability to be near religious icons or symbols, Clara continued to attend Mass and receive Holy Communion. Yet, when Clara was asked who was possessing her, quote, she responded in a deep male voice, "I am Satan." End quote. Shortly after discovering Clara levitated, Father Horner and another priest, Reverend Mansueti, received permission to perform an exorcism. On September 11, 1906, both priests began the process of attempting to cast the devil out of Clara. The exorcism lasted for 2 days, from the early morning hours of September 11th to the late evening hours of September 12th. Despite the priest's efforts, the exorcism ritual only appeared to incite the malevolent force, as Clara behaved violently, and at one point, it was reported that she tried to strangle one of the priests with his stole. On the morning of September 12, 1906, both priests administered the exorcism rites again. But this time, the demon told the priests it would give a sign that it was leaving. Another levitation. At some point during the ritual, Clara abruptly, quote, rose 5 feet into the air, as she had before. End quote. Except this time, there were nearly 200 eyewitnesses to the event. And after Clara came down out of the air, it appeared she was set free. And by all accounts, Clara really was no longer under any demonic influence. Until a year later, in 1907, when a nun heard, quote, a weird sound coming from the girl's lips. When the nun entered her room, she had a confirmation. Clara was levitating again. End quote. Clara claimed she'd made a second pact with the devil and had once again become possessed. A second exorcism was performed. This one also lasted 2 days. For those 2 days, The priests waged spiritual warfare against the demon and fought desperately for Clara's soul. On the second day, it appeared good triumphed over evil, as the demon departed Clara's body. This time, though, the sign was not a levitation. Instead, the room was filled with the putrid stench of rotting meat. Like before, it appeared Clara was set free from demonic possession. It is often said, those who experience demonic possession are never the same after a successful exorcism. Though they're no longer under the influence of a demon, it's as if their mind and body struggle to return to normal. Unfortunately, this was also true of Clara Germana Cele, as she tragically passed away from heart failure in 1912. She was 22 years old. Something interesting. The possession and exorcisms of Clara Germana Cele is considered one of the most documented cases of demonic possession in recent history. There were hundreds of eyewitness accounts of her strange and terrifying behaviors. There were dozens who heard the animal-like voice emanating from the teenage girl. And yet, despite all of this, skeptics abound. There are those who believe Clara was not possessed by a demon or the devil. Rather, they are convinced she suffered from significant mental health issues that were misinterpreted as demonic possession. At the turn of the 20th century, the field of psychology was relatively new, and the understanding of the human mind was rudimentary at best. Now, nearly 120 years after the demons were cast out of Clara Germana Cele, it is likely we will never truly know exactly what she experienced. The case of Clara Germana Cele is a short but unsettling account for a few reasons. First, her pact with the devil. It is often said that dabbling in the occult will open a person to demonic possession. And in at least one of the cases we've explored on the Red Treehouse, that was true. But so far, this is the only case where the individual made a literal deal with the devil. And in some ways, this is tragic, because Clara was deceived into thinking the devil would bring her good fortune and happiness. This is doubly tragic when you consider she was orphaned as an infant. Is it possible that Clara's pact with the devil was a cry for help? Second, Clara's faith. Another hallmark of demonic possession is the strong faith of the possessed. They are often described as very devout in their religious faith. And though Clara was raised in an orphanage by nuns, was baptized as an infant, went to a Roman Catholic school, attended Mass, and took Holy Communion, there's not much information about her overall faith. Participation in these activities, especially when other options are limited or non-existent, doesn't necessarily mean she was of devout faith. Is it possible that Clara's pact with the devil was a type of rebellion? And finally, her untimely death at a young age. By all accounts, Clara's second exorcism was successful, and for the remainder of her life, she lived quietly and free from demonic oppression and possession. But she died so young, only 22 years old, and her death didn't occur at the time of exorcism. What caused her to die suddenly from heart failure at such a young age? Is it possible the possession and exorcisms took a greater physical toll on her than was realized. The case of Clara Germana Cele is a fascinating and terrifying case study of the intersection between science, religion, and mental health. And it's a case study that is shrouded in uncertainty. As we close this episode of the Red Treehouse, we're left with these lingering questions. Was Clara Germana Cele truly possessed by Satan? Or was she suffering from an undiagnosed and untreated mental health condition? I've shared the story. Now you decide for yourself. I'm your host, Will. Thanks for joining me in the Red Treehouse.